How do you write a satisfying last chapter? This is a question I received in one of my Writing Mastery Academy live webinars. More information about those can be found in the description below, and here's how I answered the question.
Dina has asked my question over the many other questions I asked before this. We love your questions, Dina. Keep them coming. How can we write a gripping last chapter where the reader doesn't ask questions, that's it? Or what's next for a standalone novel? Okay, so this is a funny question to me just because I feel like my standalone novels do have sort of a nice, complete ending, and yet it never fails. I get so many emails from readers asking me to write a sequel. And I love the questions. I love the emails because obviously that means that they want more of what I've done. And that's really rewarding. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, but it's over. I finished it. They had their arc. They had their story. They ended in a good place. Like, why would you want to mess up their life again? Because that's what I'm going to have to do if I write a sequel. I'm going to have to mess up their life again and give them a whole new arc. So in terms of like, how can you write a gripping last chapter where the reader doesn't ask the questions of that's it or what's next? I think it really is all a matter of how you're setting up your entire beat sheet, because your last chapter is probably going to be your final image, right? So there needs to be sort of a sense of settlement about it. There needs to be a sense of finality. But also we really need to give the reader the sense that this story has gone somewhere. We need to make sure that the character feels very different than they did at the beginning, so that the reader feels satisfied with the journey that they've gone on. But then at the same time, you don't want to risk tying things up too neatly. Like I always say, like, don't tie everything up with a bow. Not everything has to be resolved, because that's life. Like in life, things don't all get resolved. So I do like to leave little things open-ended. Things that, maybe the reader didn't think, maybe the reader thought was going to be resolved and it wasn't. They're never the big picture items. They're never like the big goal or the big conflict or the theme that I've set up. Like the character doesn't end the story without actually having learned the lesson. But there might be other little things that they've sort of abandoned along the way as not important. And a lot of times those tie back into the theme, because there may be things that the character thought was important at the beginning, and the fact that they're abandoning them by the end is sort of part of their journey. But I do like to kind of leave some things open-ended, just to make sure that it doesn't feel like it's a little bit too neat and tidy. So I think that's kind of the balance you have to strike, is you have to close up enough threads where the reader feels satisfied, but leaving enough of the smaller things open that the reader doesn't feel like, well, that was too easy or that was too clean at the end.
I do live webinars every month in the Writing Mastery Academy where I answer questions like this one. Click the link in the description below to find out how you can become a member, which includes access to all of my webinars, plus all of my online writing courses, and much, much more. Thanks so much for watching, and happy writing!